Thank you, bro. Thank you for coming by. Appreciate it. It's an honor to meet you. This is my friend Fifehan, and Fifehan and I.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
I've heard so much about you.
Yeah.
Excited to have this conversation from your perspective. Like, I guess what are some things that you particular would like to maybe share more of around the subject matter of gender equality and women's rights of their bodies and reproductive system.
I think I'll start from the maternal mortality rates.
Correct.
And Nigeria currently stands as the fourth largest nation, fourth nation with the largest mortality rate.
Mortality rate.
Yeah.
Yes, maternal mortality rate.
It's insane.
So women dying either from childbirth or complications
Fourth.
arising. Fourth, yes. Currently, about 20% of all maternal mortalities are ascribed to Nigeria alone.
20%.
Yes, 20%. The number is about 814 per 100,000 births. To put that into perspective, that's about 16,000 deaths in a year. The lifetime risk of a woman dying from childbirth in Nigeria is about 1 in 22. In developed countries, is about 1 in 4,900. So you could see that pregnancy alone is already a high-risk situation for a woman.
In Nigeria.
Yes. And for something as important as pregnancy, I believe it's a woman's right to decide when she wants to have it.
Oh my God, my brother is energy. Start me off. I love it. Do you say it's a life or death choice for her?
It is.
It is.
What's the conversation? End of podcast. We're done. What are we talking about? Are you going to die from it?
Right?
What do you mean?
It's true.
What is our opinion? What is our opinion? It's not. It doesn't know what's the risk to us.
It's not you. It's the women. For them, it's a life or death situation.
End of. What are we talking about?
So do you even think the man has the right to even be able to even have, how we're saying how, it's an equal decision, like the man and the woman should come to the table and agree. Like from the way, if it's a life or death situation for me.
It's not an equal decision.
That's what I'm saying.
I think we can start from there.
Yes.
It's
So
not an equal decision.
here's what I feel. And, from the place of conviction, I believe that there's always the point of conversation. You have conversations with people even before, quote unquote, you create a child with them, to be able to know exactly where they stand on it. And just because I had a conversation 8 years ago does not mean I am the same person today. My perspective may have changed on so many issues. So it means that conversation needs to constantly be updated. What's your stance on this? What's your stand? There are people who, I want kids. And they probably may have lost a friend through childbirth, and they no longer feel the same way. It's her decision. And, we live in a world we live in Nigeria where a lot, because when we say world, yes, yeah, we live in a Nigerian world where there is so much, we place so much value on my child.
Even though we can barely feed them.
Exactly. And because of that, people get, pregnant when they're not ready. Sometimes people are placed in situations that would harm their life, for instance.
You're married?
Yes, I am.
Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Not yet, okay.
Yeah.
No. I said not yet. This is me being a Nigerian, not yet. No, the answer is no. And I say this because, I think your influence is the right kind of influence, which is that it's coming from a place of information. There's a lot of people on social media that speaking on topics, giving opinions, but where does that Nigeria has a conversation about headship in marriages and stuff. We touched on it in another episode we had. Where does this conversation lie? From your lens that understands the risks, where does this conversation lie and the decision? How would you guys go about discussing this in your own marriage?
So in my marriage,
if you don't mind sharing, I'm sorry,
sure,
it's a personal
it's fine. In my marriage, she wants kids. And I don't think that you being quote unquote, even though I strongly, my pastors look at me funny when I say that, because I don't believe that, you should have a head the way it is being said, because it's two people, not a parent and a child. And it is painted in such a way that, I am your head, and so you should submit to me. And in that context, what that means is your opinions don't matter, your wants don't matter, your desire doesn't matter. It is what I want as the head that matters. And from a deep place, I feel that's wrong, honestly, because this is someone who has decided to do the life journey with you. And for the person, for that person to choose you means that, they probably believe in you to some extent, they want to do it, they love you. And you should put that into consideration when you're making quote unquote certain decisions. Now, are there decisions that, can be made by one person? Yes. But without consultation from the other person, I don't think it's fair. You're not paying me salary where, you're the boss and I just wake up and say, okay, guys, today we're doing this. No, it's not a boss-employee relationship. It's not a master-servant relationship. It's two friends. I'm sure you have friends. And sometimes you guys can decide, oh, today let's go here or let's do this. It's a joint decision. And that's the way I view marriage, as joint decisions. Are there times when you guys would disagree? Yes. And what do you do in moments like that? What I do is we talk it out until we get to an agreement. If we don't get to an agreement, we do not make a decision on that particular topic. Are there times when, somebody decides, okay, for this particular decision, I'm going to take a compromise, or rather I'm going to compromise and, just allow, you just have your way. I'm going to have my way the next time. Yes, that happens. It's those are the dynamics of relationships. But for the whole headmaster, okay, that came
Same
out.
thing, head, master.
Yeah. For the master, head relationship, the way it's being painted in Nigeria, I don't think I believe in it. We're friends, we're partners.
I love that. Honestly, when I asked the question, I didn't even know what you were going to say because, like, I am completely aligned with your belief, and it's not just from a place of ideologic perspective, but in practice. I've tried it one way, and I've tried it a new way, and the two are two different. They're clearly different. When you say we're two friends, and we're both going to figure out decision by decision what we're going to do, it's a much more fruitful journey. It's a much more happy journey. But I don't know if a lot of men know that it's possible. So maybe that's my question to you. Is it possible? When people say that, does it turn into a happy marriage? I think people have this picture where there's a way it needs to be framed, and that's what a happy marriage looks like. You know what I mean? Or, and of course in a cis relationship where there's a, that sort of setting. But what is your experience? How does it produce the results that you desire?
I have a happy marriage. I love my wife to bits. I love the relationship I have with her. And it's because, of course, there are sometimes when we discuss with our parents, some of them tend to have that old archaic mindsets about, the headmaster relationship. But when I talk to them and say, look, she's my friend. And I can't just do certain things. For example, I can't make any major financial decision in my house without her knowing about it, first of all. Of course, I can walk out and decide I like this pair of shoes and get them. That's a minor, that's within. But I can make a major financial decision that, could quote unquote sink us without her being comfortable with it. And if she's not comfortable with it, I sell the vision to her. Because when shit hits the fan, that's open allowed to.
Yeah.
Because when shit hits the fan, that's the same person who's going to be with you. So it's for me, it has worked. I've had people share their experiences in other marriages where, for instance, the man comes home for something as simple as the TV is on a match and the wife is watching a different channel. And the man says, "Oh, it's my house." Like, how do you live with such a person? How do you enjoy that relationship? How do you create intimacy with that person? Because that person has to be in it. And if you keep treating me like that, then how are we going to have that intimacy?
But I guess my question is, do you think that most men think like this, Nigerian men?
I doubt, no.
And so what do you think it is that like conversations like these can do to shift that mindset? Because I think for me, like, we're all on the same page here. Do you understand what I'm saying? But we want the people listening, right? Like, men, obviously, specifically for me, guys in particular, to understand this on a, on a real level where they can actually, like, shift their mindset. So I guess my question is more like, how do you think this can be effective, right? Because, like, it's one thing, they'd be like, oh, that's just his opinion, or you know what I mean? Or,
Yeah.
oh, that's just his view, or maybe he's got a good woman, or, well, not even a good woman, maybe some people even say, oh, maybe he's just a punk, maybe he's not even really straight.
Yeah.
People will go to the extent of trying to emasculate you just because
Oh, yeah,
they
yeah,
just don't agree with you. So my question is, how do you shift the mindset of the majority, right, to see this partnership thing that you're discussing about, relationships and men and women as a true, you know what I'm saying, partnership, essentially, is what I'm hearing you say. It's like it's a true partnership.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
And I think it starts with, first of all, understanding that, the woman you're with is first off a human being, just like you are, with her own rights, with her own desires, with her own life. But we live in a world that is not ideal all the time. And I think that before conversations like this can really change the perspective of, there are people who will listen to this podcast and it means absolutely nothing to them. But for us to be able to change that perspective of people, we need to, just like you said in the beginning, empower women. Because it takes a woman who is, quote unquote, sufficient on her own to be able to demand.
Good point.
Her
Because
rights.
at the end of the day, we have all these, like, majority of this country is obviously poor, uneducated, right? And
Like
they don't
ours.
even know that sorry?
Like us.
Yeah, they don't even know that they have these rights, right? And so where would they even begin to have a conversation with their partner to say, well, I have rights too, right? They don't even know. They're not empowered to. The men too, the society is propagating a certain way of being, so it's kind of like, even if he asks that, so what do you want? She'd be like, whatever you like.
Yeah,
Like,
true.
So I guess, it's like, how do you actually permeate, like, these mindsets and beyond, like you said, so empowering women. So, like, in on your platform, how do you do that?
Oh yeah, so on my platform, I talk about my marriage a lot, and for some people they think it's quote unquote oversharing, but I'm like, no, you
What?
only know oversharing.
Oversharing.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm like, no, you only know what I want you to know. And I could see that some people viewed my marriage in a certain way, because at some point I gave my own 2 cents about a particular movement that was going viral on Twitter called the Alpha Male Movement.
Okay, what's that about?
Oh yeah. So there's an alpha male movement, and the alpha male movement, for some reason, from what I was seeing, because I don't want to, castigate the movement and all that. From what I was seeing, it just sounded like all the tweets I was seeing were, don't give women money, don't do this, don't do that. And
Are you familiar with this?
Never heard of
yeah,
it.
Twitter. And I said something. I said, I hope that your alpha male strategy also involves you making men contributing members of society, and not just, your relationship with women. So without the women, who are you as a man? And I got so much heat from that.
It's crazy, right? That in Nigeria, you say, like, think about that. There's a bunch of people that say we're alpha males. Like, I don't even know if we
Was it a Niger Twitter thing?
Yes, was a Niger Twitter thing.
I don't even know if we really understand what an alpha is.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I'm like shocked. Like, is this
we have this sense that like rah, 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 is an alpha.
yeah.
Right? And
Like the leader.
and then, here's an alpha statement. Hey, you know what, guys? It's great that we're meeting. What are we going to do for society? And everybody's like...
Yeah, you're fool. It's like, but I'm literally being an alpha male. That's beta.
I got so much hate for that. And someone decided to take it upon himself to create fiction, like stories about, oh, that's why he goes to the gym, because his wife beats him up.
What? Okay.
And, the stories kept getting wilder and wilder. And yes, my wife was not happy about it. But in many ways, I was happy, because for you to think that my wife beats me up is because you put her in a position of strength. And the fact that I listen to her, her opinions matter, you think I am not, quote unquote, an alpha male. No.
Well, that's the most alpha shit of all time.
But that's the most alpha thing.
To allow somebody be equal with you without feeling intimidated, to respect the person's opinion, to respect their autonomy, to sit with them and be sure that it doesn't diminish you.
Because it doesn't.
Because if you're truly an alpha male, it wouldn't affect you.
But it's not even... like, as a human being, it does nothing to you.
Exactly.
Another person living in this, unless they want to harm you.
Exactly.
I want to ask a question about... Because I really loved... I mean, first of all, I had a sense of what this conversation would be like, but what a guy, right? It's like...
Yeah, I had no idea, by the way. So I'm like,
Anyway, my question is, talk to us a little bit from a medical perspective.
Okay.
What happens? And this is... I'm asking you because you're a doctor, not because you're a man. Please, I want to point that out. But about what happens. I want boys and men that are watching to hear what happens when a woman gets pregnant to her body. Like, there's this idea about the ownership of this conversation,
how even
right?
just backtrack?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's even forget. I mean, not forget. That's another level, of course. But let's even start from menstruation.
Yeah, okay.
Like, let's start from your period, right? Like, it's a taboo for people. People are uncomfortable. Like, remember you were saying the other day, and I was talking about my period, and you're like, and I was like, oh, sorry. And you're like, no, please stop saying sorry, that somebody checked you.
Yo,
that
I
you
was
should be comfortable.
I was at Tutu Fellowship, right? This is like African young leaders, brilliant class of people, and fully in my patriarchy. Someone was talking about like a solution they created in Cameroon. Brilliant doctor, yeah, boom. And they created like very low cost sanitary material for young women to use. And as he was talking about it, I remember I was going like this in the room. Yo, when I tell you that the female cohorts laid into me, into us, it was just me. It wasn't just me, but it was in a way where for the first time I had this belief where I checked it. I was like, this is an essential part of the cycle of life. An essential.
It is normal as eating.
Literally as drinking water.
It's as normal as eating, as drinking water.
Like telling somebody
as going
that
to the toilet.
you can't talk
It's
about
breathing.
burping, or you can't talk about going to use the toilet, or you
It's a
can't talk
normal
about
cycle
having
of
a
human
headache,
life.
or just being thirsty. Like, I'm thirsty. You can't talk about it because it makes me uncomfortable that you're thirsty. Like, okay, what do you want me to do about it? And then not having access to a cup to put the water in to drink. Right?
Exactly.
Like,
Period poverty.
literally. And imagine
period poverty.
Yes,
Yeah.
period poverty.
So explain it to us from a doctor, please.
Okay, so
Doctor's perspective.
first off, a woman is born with. So I'm going to try to make this as. I'm not going to put any jargons because that's what people know me for. A woman is born with all the eggs she'll ever need. Unlike men who produce sperm per time. So the moment a man hits puberty, starts to produce those sperms.
So you mean as a baby?
Yes, as a
coming
baby.
out of the womb?
Yes.
I was born with
You're born
all
with
the eggs.
millions of eggs
Are you serious?
in your womb.
I didn't know that.
But the eggs are arrested at a certain stage of division.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you get into puberty, a certain interaction of hormones that go on in your body. And then that circle continues again. But this time, what the body does is every month it makes an announcement. It says, okay, so which of you want to get pregnant this month? And a couple of eggs say, I. And it puts them in a, what you call this thing where they put people in a school to prepare them for a job. It's not school, but, it's like a crash course.
It's like a vocational.
Yes, yeah. So, it recruits those eggs and puts them in a crash course. And, get into the crash course. And only about 1 or 2 make it to the end of that class.
What happened to the rest?
The rest die off.
What a class. What kind of class is this?
What kind of class is
Okay,
that?
Jeffrey Dahmer school. Like,
You might not survive.
this is the part. I know some of the early part, but this is interesting. So the recruitment is not just one egg.
It's not just one egg. Thousands of eggs every month.
Every
Hundreds,
month?
yes, every
Wow.
month. Let's go. And only about 1 or 2,
It's like becoming a celebrity in Nigeria.
Exactly. It's like making it in music.
Yeah. Wow.
And that particular one is released into the fallopian tube. So the fallopian tube is, kind of like this fringed stuff at the end of the uterus. And it's released and it's waiting. And the funny thing about the eggs is they can only survive for about 24 to 48 hours. And then they die off. And while that recruitment process is going on in the ovaries, the uterus, which is the house, is preparing itself for the egg because it assumes the pregnancy has to occur
It's about
every
to
month.
happen,
You
yeah.
get. So, it starts building the walls, laying new rugs, getting new curtains, putting everything in place. And then it probably gets the idea, oh, it's not going to happen this month, guys. What do? Leave the uterus, leave the uterus and the room you prepared in that way. No, we're going to tear everything down
Yeah.
and start again next month. So the menstruation that a woman sees
Is it tearing down?
is a tearing down of the walls of the uterus.
Imagine.
The walls of the uterus.
Imagine.
The walls of the uterus, and that happens every cycle.
Can I ask you a question? Sorry, this is.
Dog, have you guys heard this? Wait, did you know this?
Now I'm about to start asking.
Did you know this? Did you?
I'm about to ask more something related to women. So like when it comes to like PCOS, so that's like polycystic, ovarian cysts, and endometriosis. What happens there? What is that?
So
What now changes there? You know what I mean?
So for endometriosis, the walls
Because-
are just
Sorry, just for everybody that is listening.
Yeah.
So can you explain what endometriosis is and how many women are? I think it's 1 in 5 women or something
Yeah.
like that. It's really.
So
In Nigeria, just
Yeah, I mean, I suffered from it. I suffered.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so PCOS and endometriosis are quite very common. I don't have the statistics exactly, but they're very common, and we don't talk about it. A lot of women
No,
don't talk about it,
because it's like a taboo.
quote unquote. But for PCOS, they're certain. It's more like a syndrome. So there are quite a number of factors that are coming into play. And when many women even find out that they have PCOS, is when they're about to get pregnant and they probably can't.
So what's Sorry, is PCOS totally different from just cysts?
Yes.
It's different from
Yes.
cysts. Okay.
So
I'm sorry.
a woman can have polycystic ovaries,
Okay.
but it's not polycystic ovarian syndrome because there are all the factors that have to come in. There's the insulin balance, there's the hirsutism, there's the body shapes in a lion, shape, there's the abdominal fat, there's insulin resistance. Quite a number of things that's come into place before you can say a woman has PCOS.
Okay.
But a woman can have polycystic ovaries.
Okay.
And sometimes in many polycystic ovaries, that the one determining factor is that the woman is having the cycles, menstrual cycles, but the body's not releasing the eggs. So when you look at the ovarian cysts, it's almost like, when you look at the ovaries in ultrasound, you see a lot of cysts. It's like, those, like I explained earlier, some of those ovaries were arrested in certain stages of development. They did not make it. And it's hormonal. Because
So it's not like she did anything wrong.
it's nothing.
Do you know that for a long time I thought there was something that I did that I didn't do to my that I didn't do properly
Properly.
as a woman that is the reason I had
Oh, I'm sorry.
all these things. Yeah,
sorry.
for a long time.
And I think we have failed as a society where we tie a woman's relevance in society to a reproductive cycle.
That again.
So it's are you a real woman? And when
Right.
people say that, I'm like, what exactly is a real woman?
Right.
She's a woman. She has a female reproductive cycle. The fact that, there may be some things wrong with the reproductive organs does not make her any less a woman. And we need to move from that shift where we put the relevance of women to their reproductive cycle. Oh yeah, nah. And we see it in certain extended families. She's not a real woman because she has not mothered a child, or because the reproductive cycle is upside down, or because it's rather than 30 days or 28 days or 21 days, it's probably taking 3 months for her to see a period. Those things can happen. So until we get women from that point where we remove them from, you're not tied to your reproductive organs, you're a person, irrespective of
A person.
you're a person irrespective of your reproductive organs. We would do a lot more. And on the flip side, for men, when we say man is impotent, I don't like that term. Impotence is someone who's robbed of their power. And just because I cannot get my junior to stand does not mean
less
I am
of a man.
powerless or I'm
Yeah.
less of a man.
Yeah.
No, I am a person. First, let's remove. We are not our reproductive organs.
Absolutely.
Are there parts of us? Yes, but they're not us. And the faster we get that, the better we move forward as a society.
I really like hearing you talk. I think there's something like I don't know what the end form for you is, but how you communicate about what's going on in the body. You know what I mean? This is something there.
Yeah.
And for a country where most of our medical advice is you go better or I'm strong. Yeah, I'm strong. Like when people say I'm strong, like I remember I didn't come from that culture. So when people would say I'm strong,
I did.
I didn't know what was going on. I was like, when I first was like, people were like, I'm strong. I'm like, yeah, I didn't come to work today. I'm like, why? I'm like,
Because
I'm strong.
Yeah.
I was like,
Then why did you come?
so, and then I got it later. I was like, oh, it's affirmation, right? Instead of seeing a negative thing.
Have you heard my enemy sick?
Oh, gee. Yeah, I have actually.
Oh yeah. Someone walks into your consulting room and goes, "My enemy is sick."
Oh wow, they came to tell you that they are not feeling well,
Yeah.
but it's their enemy that is
Yeah,
actually not feeling well. Gotcha.
And it takes an insane level of empathy to be able to. Okay,
Yeah,
I get
that's
that.
that's what it is that
Oh,
he
I
has.
know my question.
That's what it is.
I know my question. And this question possibly won't be